And welcome once again. I am the database guy. We are on the 15th video, and this will probably be at this point, we're going to at least tentatively end forms. We've really shown you, I've shown you a lot. I should say I have shown you a lot. And um, the one thing about forms, whether it's temp tables, whatever it might be, is to ensure that you have a proper flow of information. Now, the only thing I haven't shown you in forms is the connection of VBA code because I'm limited here. I don't want to put the code in yet, though I have shown you some of it. Some coding of one line here, one line there, which happened from the search that we just did in the search form that we did. And just to show you, again, we could select the publisher, select a book, and find its author or authors. So, and we might, by the way, if we have multiple authors, we might want to use this last one. Instead of a combo, it could be a list box. And it would be the same principle, by the way, in a list box, where, in fact, go to design view, we can change this to a list box. So now what happens will be, let's see, we should see them within there. And we do. Or if we come down to one, yeah. So it's a little bit different. And we could make that list box multiple selects. We could see all authors and so on. And the difference is, again, I could do single or multiple selection if I wanted. I'm going to say no on this for now. Some of the caveats to some of the things you got to watch out for. That's what a caveat is. Let's go to some of the queries. Actually, let's go over here, by the way, to the search one here. I want to just check something here. I think one was a select query. No, query authors, query books, good. That's good. This was a select. We didn't need to worry about this one. But what happens if we try to open those without the form being open? Let's try books. Looking for a field. Looking for that field in the form. Cancel it. Let's try authors. Same thing. So once you try or once you create queries that point to a control on a form, like this one, and let's see, let's do the other one. This is authors, and let's do the books one. Show you both. And by the way, the books we're going to see are only active books, which makes sense to us. We might have in our first query only active publishers, if that's something that's a reality for you. Once you start pointing to this kind of stuff here, all right, you are specifying that you have to have, and let's see what happens, form, and let's go back to the query. Now it's open, let's see what happens. We're going to get nothing because it has no publisher, right? So let's try publisher 4, and let's see what happens in the books. And now we're seeing what we're seeing from publisher 4. This is really what it's doing as it's filtering. Let's try 2. Same thing here. So now that we select the Raven, we go to authors. We obviously are going to get, for that ISBN, we're going to obviously get the 2 authors in question, right? So the form has to be open for those queries to operate. If it is not, you're going to see something like this, with me just looking for that control to determine the criteria. Well, that's one big caveat there. Same thing goes for append potentially, and delete, not delete queries so much, but append, especially if, but here your criteria is nothing. I mean, it's not, where you have, you wouldn't append anything here. So if I was trying to, I have nothing in there. So, right, it's going to run it, nothing, no rows here. And if I do with the authors, I should have the same thing because I have nothing, no new book and no new authors entered. The same thing would happen probably for the edit author and edit books. Let's see. Well, now we have one row, so let's go into there and see why in the book we have one row. Um, oh, because it's a blank row. Because it's in the add mode. So it sees a row, a blank row. Um, so be wary of that. And the same thing would be for author. No, I'm sorry. A author. Now we've got two rows here because it has to be seeing now. Let's go into it. Again, this is pointing to a form, by the way. So some four books write the ISBN on the form. So what it's doing is, let's see where it's appending to. Yeah, the T temp. So what's happening here is based on the fact that it's somehow seeing two because based on the fact that it's pointing to the ISBN and I see two authors currently listed, that's what it's doing. It's not really correct. The update one here doesn't point to anything, well, it does point to a temp table. So let's see what this does. No rows on this one either, and this one here, no rows either. So for the most part, if nothing's there, it's no rows. The reason the edit author one is pointing there is because if I go to my data sheet view, I'm going to see the two authors for which I'm looking to make changes. All right. And actually, it's going the other way, I should say. That's going the opposite way. That's exactly correct. So here I'm appending my authors back to my temp table, right? Yeah, my temp table, that's fine. I'm always going to see that. That's always going to operate. But the one here, um, the add author, let's see. Yeah, that one won't operate. And yeah, so when we update here, right, we're updating based upon that ID number and the author ID number. So yeah, the one will work because it's bringing data from here into my temp table, but the ones that require me to go from my temp table back, since there's nothing in the temp table, it's going to be 0. All right, so you got to be careful on what, select queries are never an issue at all, except for these just one here, right? Because these two here are looking for that field in the forms, all right? And let's take a look at this one here. Deactivated, there's nothing deactivated here. Which is fine. And let's see, books DE will list all of my active books. And books in general will list everything across everything. And as you can see, it replicates because of the authors. The authors are replicated in some cases. So I'm trying to think of anything else. Oh, there's one other item with forms that I can't show you here exactly, but you can hide a form. You can hide a form. So if I come over here and you see the word, well, you can hide it in a group, but I'm not talking about that hide. I am talking about hiding the form when it opens. I have one particular client, well, actually many of my clients utilize this tool. When I open up, the first form I open up is a form that's going to be hidden because that creates a Boolean which restricts the user from using the shift key to open up a database. I'm going to close this down for a minute. Well, I'm not going to do it here. Another video when we get to shift bypass key. There's a weakness in data and access in which if you hold the shift key down, you can open up the database and get access to the objects that you see here, forms, tables, and so on. If you're in an ACCDB format, you can modify those things, and you don't ever want that. You want to place your deployed database as an ACCDE, so you can't modify anything. However, you can still get into the tables. Tables are never a stopping point. So you have to have this shift bypass that prevents you from opening it up and being able to see the tables or anything. And that's all security. In terms of forms, to sum up all of the 14 videos we've gone through how to create a form. Okay, the wizards are very weak. They will give you the name of the control being the name of the field. It's very poor. We don't want that in our nomenclature. Different types of controls. We went through all the controls you can create in a form and the uses for them. Some of them are really, really neat. I think I showed you the option one, which is really cool. Let me just, if I hadn't, let's see, go back to the forms. I don't know if I had, so I kind of think I hadn't, but let's just, I thought there was one. Rectangle. The options group, but I thought the options group allows you with the wizard. Yeah. So, it allows you to set up the type of options you wanted. So, second. Oh, let's go back. Third. And this is really being done. Fourth. In a table. You can see it right now. Next. No, you don't have to have a default choice. And you're looking at what you would see here, kind of. And then you assign numbers to them or whatever you want. And then the style that you want. Do you want to check? Do you want to toggle? Do you want an option button? Do you want it sunken, shadowed? How do you want this thing to look? Etched, flat, raised. We'll leave it as etched. And we'll call this FRM1. Whoop, let's go back. FRM1. Okay. And basically, when you select an option, it's really cool. You will assign it a value, and then that value will allow you to then process data further. I'm going to get rid of that. No. So we learned about all kinds of controls. We learned about all the properties of controls, methods, how to hide one. And you see two of our control buttons are hidden here. How to disable one, which means it won't be active. How to lock something, which means that you can't do anything to it, even modify it. And then how to connect. We showed subforms here, like on this particular one, this table here, we are showing you, and let's just, all right. So in this particular one here, we have three subforms. 1, 2, 3, you see here, the main form obviously is here. We also showed you how, going back. Actually, it's not in here. I have to select the outside bound border to get the entire. There we go. Um, Here we're not linking child and master, but we showed you that that is possible because we have a subform to a subform rather than a subform to a master form. Ideally, this subform should have been the master form, and this master form should have been a subform. But it doesn't matter. We can work around that. So how we did that connection, by the way, to connect both of them is in some code, and we showed it, that basically we simply requeried the subform, and doing that will basically now show you, uh, because this one here links let's go to its data, query authors DE, it links the ISBN to what it sees on the main form. So that's another way around that. So in other words, if you don't have a master subform combination linking child to master, which is the real way it should be done, you certainly could do it this way, where you basically look at the ISB field that is in the selected item, okay, and then in that way you populate the authors that are there, okay? So that's one way to do it. I, it's up to you, whatever's going to work for you. And let's just see something here. Um, yeah, we'll save all that. Let's go to that's the activate books. We showed you that too, of how you can activate and deactivate a book rather than delete a book, right? So let's see the books here. And let's open this up. Right, so what I want to do here, I think, is select everything and move it over just a hair. Good. And okay, a little bit better to me anyway. Uh, so, and again, we showed you selecting over here with our code how it changed the authors who were in the books, right? And also, we went manually through the process of adding or editing authors and books and so forth. Uh, what is the best way of, say, scrolling through this? Well, what I would do is, and we haven't added the navigation keys just yet because that requires code, but I would scroll through with navigation keys, and I essentially would probably not have a tab stop at all here on any of those fields, and based upon the field that I'm at, the record I'm at, and the ISBN that I am at, I would update the authors. It's one way to do it. The other way is to rearrange this, which we may in fact do, and I think it's a better way to do it, is to have this books field as the main field and to have the add book portion as a sub field, a sub form rather. Now what that does is it doesn't really change all that much, and we'll probably revisit this to do that because as I've always done, whenever I've added anything, it was always a sub form. But I did this because I started out with, well, here's how you create a new, right? A new author and so on. And also what we saw too, as we wound into this, is you had to hide things. We talked about that. Uh, and it's really visible yes and no is the method that we use, and we talked about, of course, locked versus disabling something. I don't know if well, we just showed you the disabling these controls above. They're disabled. So with this, I think we're going to conclude our tables just right now. And when we come back, we'll start reports. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reset this, creating a new form, a secondary form, and modifying this to allow for the child master connection between authors and books. It's really the best way to do it, so that if I scroll through, it's automatically connected. I don't have to have that piece of code in there. And then we can leave the rest of it as is, all right? So in any event, please, as always, like and subscribe. Stay with me. We come back, we're going to come to reports. Finally, we're moving on. And then once we do reports, which I think will cover about 2 videos, we'll go into this VBA. And you're going to love VBA, I think, because it's going to be something which initially may be challenging, but you're going to see it as something that is incredibly, incredibly useful. So wherever you are, like and subscribe as always. Stick with me. Have a great evening, day, morning, night, whatever it is. Bye.